On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, we will look back at the year 2023 while looking ahead to the year 2024. And yes, despite us not really wanting to do it, we have to do some morning leftovers from this Avalanche and Coyotes game and then move on from it and never talk about it again. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you are following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments. Is that the new one? Did you think about that all day? All right. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. Nothing for Gmail. You got to come up with something for Gmail. All right. Maybe this for Gmail. Yeah.
I'm miming everything.
And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. When you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, become one of our very special insiders where we get your opinions on everything Avalanche and share it on this very show. All right, sir. So we'll talk about the next game up for the Avalanche, which is between them and the St. Louis Blues. Well, like I said, look back at 2023 as this is our last episode of 2023 and look ahead to 2024. But we're going to start one more time with that Avalanche and Coyotes game. That was just a natural disaster, to use the nickname of the Avalanche. And how we're feeling a day after, because how are you feeling? Like, is this sticking with you, or is this just another one where it's like you got to move on, or is this one like no, like we were talking about in yesterday's episode? Is this who they are? Is this who they are? And you still feel that way after kind of like the emotion has worn off a little bit?
Oh, my good buddy Chris. This is where we take the leftovers out of the refrigerator. We open it up. Oh, it stinks. Oh, but wait. But the back end stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that front end a little bit. It's one of those that my brain is weird. All day long, I was thinking about those first two.
It's like a mullet.
Yeah, it's a mullet.
And the front was
mullet
good.
Arena.
The back was a disaster. How about that? Amazing.
In Mullet Arena.
In Mullet Arena.
The NHL is fixed. You heard it here first. No, but the Avalanche 2 for 3 on the power play in that game. It's one of those that overtime loss. Yes, the way it happened was demoralizing, but there were so many good things the Avalanche were doing. Like, let's not miss out on the fact that Nathan MacKinnon could also tally the most points in the month of December in franchise history. He's one off of that. He's got his point streak going. Nathan MacKinnon's having himself a year. Sure. And it's not grabbing the NHL by storm yet, but it's a good thing to have. Especially after the conversation at the beginning of the year. What's going on with Nathan MacKinnon? Is he assist heavy? What's going on? Is this the new Nathan MacKinnon? No, we have old Nathan MacKinnon better than ever. Mikko Rantanen is looking good. Valeri Nichushkin's looking good. The defense is suspect. And I know everybody likes to jump on Georgiev. But if you go back and you look at just the stats about the shots that Georgiev is facing, it's not good. That's where we need to look. And if we could get the defense figured out, if somebody could just, I don't know, remember how to play defense cohesively, I think we're going to be, things will be okay. But if you go back and you're looking at the stats, we have 6 members of this team over 50% in faceoff percentage. They're winning faceoffs. They won against the Coyotes. There are a lot of good things going on with this Avalanche team.
There's a ton of good things going on with it.
It's the finish factor.
There's a ton of good things going on with this team. A ton. But we want to focus in on what's not going well. And I get that. And that's all fair. And you can only say so many times, like, despite everything, they're still at the top of the division or near the top of the division. But that's not a guarantee that will hold out all year long
Mhm.
if you keep playing like this. There's teams that are on your tail and everybody's tail that are fighting just as hard as you are. So if this keeps up, is where they are in the standings sustainable? I don't think so. But that's the question: is will this keep up? And I am still in the camp that it will it will not. And when I say it will not, I mean I still feel like they are going to right the ship. We're not even halfway through the season,
Mhm.
right? We're not even halfway through the seasons, and they're doing a lot of good things. Individually, they're doing a lot of good things, and team wise, you're starting to see that improve. But you still have the like when something like this happens, when something like a 4-0 lead goes away and you lose that game, sure, you get a point in overtime. Who cares? I shouldn't
Mhm.
say it doesn't, it matters. It might matter at the end of the year, but you know what I mean by that.
It
People
holds
don't want to
the
see that.
Avalanche over Dallas right now, that loser point.
Sure. I mean, but that is not a moral victory.
No.
You know what I mean? So there's good things that are happening, but it just seems to get supplanted by something bad that happens relatively quickly. That's the
It
problem right now with the Avalanche is they cannot keep on one track. And they can't keep on a good track. You don't want them to go on a bad track, obviously, but they cannot keep on a track of doing the right thing over and over and over again. And then if you have that dud that's thrown in there every once in a while, you can live with it. But it's tough to live with these right now because we're going to talk about the Blues game in a little bit, but you feel like they're going to come back and play well. But what happens after that game? Are they going to play well again? Right now, you have no clue. And until they start stringing together more positive things and good things as a whole than negative, we're just going to be doing this back and forth thing. Can it hold up? I mean, you're really hoping that the teams behind you start failing too, so they don't lap you because of your mistakes. But then you're relying on other teams to screw up, which you don't want to do. You want to be in control of your own destiny, which the Avalanche still are. Clearly, I mean, they're in the driver's seat here, but you want to be righting the ship during this, and it just seems to be you're writing it, and then a massive tidal wave comes and sweeps you away, and then you have to get back on your feet again.
You know, all day long, I've been thinking about this conversation that we were going to have, and I thought our roles would be reverse on this, and our perceptions of this team. And
Mhm.
Chris, you're talking about like stringing wins together, but if you take a look back, you've seen like the Avalanche let up 2 goals in like 15 seconds. I believe that
Right.
was the Nashville game. You saw
Mhm.
them get completely embarrassed by the Blues, which we'll talk about later. You
Mhm.
saw them get absolutely embarrassed by Vegas. You've seen them go up 4-0 and then lose that game 5-4.
And you saw the
They're
comeback against Dallas, the 6 straight goals
exactly.
against us. So it's yin and yang
You're
all year long.
you're finding the if this team could, like you're talking about stringing wins together, if they could find their constant, this is not a math problem, everybody, don't run off.
No,
But
don't yeah.
if they could find the constant and just build off that, I feel like that's where this team could find success because I have never seen a team try so hard and lose games, and then not try and lose games, and not try and win games, and try so hard and win games convincingly. They're
Mhm.
doing everything right and wrong. They know how to do everything. We talk about a learning experience. They've covered every base. If you had a bingo card of wins and losses, the Avalanche have tallied it to this point. So from here on out, and we'll talk about things to leave behind this year going into 2024, a consistent theme. Like who's working, who doesn't, what lines work and what doesn't, and how the goalies should play. I feel like honestly, this could be the turning point and some revenge against St. Louis.
Sure, but we've done that so many times this year. Fine, go get revenge and make St. Louis, the ones that are standing in your way, just roll over them because of what happened against Arizona. Take it out against St. Louis, fine, but continue that.
Mhm.
So I'm not. I am going to like. I'll believe it when I'm done saying like this is the turning point. I've said it half a dozen times already. So, I mean, I'm still confident in this team long term. Still very confident in this team long term. Now, the funny thing that happened yesterday was a former Av was put up on waivers. Actually, two former Avs were put on waivers. One of them was Tyson Jost. And whenever this happens, you have people like running to social media, like, "Oh, should the Avalanche bring back Tyson Jost?" It is not going to happen. Like I should say, there's like a 0.1% chance of it happening. I'll never say it's 100%. But when teams move on from players, they typically move on from them for good. And it's not like, the only way they would bring a guy back is if once they let him go, he turned a corner in his career. And now they have another opportunity to get a better version of him back. You're not getting that with Tyson Jost, right? So that's not happening. And I saw some comments saying like, well, that could be just like a spark. You're not expecting throw him on the fourth line, not expecting to do anything, but just bringing back someone from the old guard could be like a spark. No, but you might be getting a different spark back by the name of Sam Girard. Sam Girard will do exactly what people are thinking if the Avalanche brought back Tyson Jost would do. So, and I am loving the comments of people cannot wait for Sam Girard to come back. Did you miss him, folks?
Oh,
did you? I think there's some people out there who just will always hate him, which, I get it. Well, actually, I don't get it. But, I think you're seeing a different defensive team when Sam Girard is not there. He's not their best defender, but he makes a difference. And he makes a difference specifically in transition. So I don't know if he's playing against St. Louis. He's got to be soon. It's got to be. I really hope it is. So whenever it is, that might just be a little bit of a here and now in the moment spark that the team needs. And then you're going to have another one in Artturi Lehkonen whenever he comes back. So you get those two guys back. Things look a little bit different. And you still have a Nathan McKinnon that's rolling, Mikko doing his thing, Cale Makar doing his thing. But do they need to make a move? I don't know. Yes, the answer is yes to that. I just don't know when. I would like for it to be sooner rather than later. But when you do that, you're also playing like all of this, that we always say the getting to know you period that's happening, that seems to be going on for too long. I think we're beyond that now. Now we have to question, are these new guys working? Mainly with, the Ryan Johansson one. I think Wood is great and Colton's doing great. Johansson is the big question mark right now. So if, how much longer do you put up with that? It's not that I don't want to say I feel like he's doing horribly, but he's not meeting expectations right now. So that's the divide right now for the Avalanche is what do you do with him? Do you continue to ride this out because you have confidence in him? Or if you don't, you go make a move. And if you're going to make the move, when is it? Is it trade deadline or is it now? So you have whoever you're bringing in, you have more time to get acclimated with this team. See where it goes.
And you know what? That's a fantastic segue into what we could be leaving behind in 2023.
Well, let's talk about that, good sir. This is our last show of the year. So let's take a look back while we look ahead to 2024, and we will do that next. First, we're going to hear from one of our favorites. They're back in action. That's AG1, our next partner. AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. Kyle and I drink this stuff literally every day. I am a morning AG1 drinker. Are you the same?
I am a afternoon when I get home from my day job AG1
Okay,
guy.
because you start your day job a little bit earlier in the morning. So when you get home, you need that little bit boost.
Yep.
Yeah, got it. So for me, it's that shaker bottle that they give you that comes with me. Drink it once I get to the office. And it's a foundational nutritional supplement that delivers comprehensive nutrients to supplement whole body health. AG1 replaces your multivitamin, probiotic, and more in one simple drinkable habit. It's raising the standard for quality in the supplement category, and AG1 helps you build your health foundation first. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/NHL network. That's drinkag1.com/NHL network. Check it out. You will thank us later, and so will your gut. All right, as we ring in the new year, this is kind of like just what you do. You look back at the year that was, and in music and comedy and theater and movies, and of course sports, and obviously the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll look back first, sir, and what sticks out when you look back at 2023, the calendar year of 2023. What's the thing that sticks out to you most, good or bad, for the Colorado Avalanche?
Honestly, if you had to do a Spotify Wrapped on 2023, it would be the story of Nathan MacKinnon. It'd be that point streak. His 4-goal game was nice. The 4-point game. It's just, you like to see what Nathan MacKinnon's doing quietly, because honestly, in the NHL right now, currently going into 2024, there's not a lot going on like trendy storyline wise. You don't have your watch every night, tune in storyline yet. So for Nathan MacKinnon to still be flying under the radar, that's good for when it comes playoff time. But he is having an incredible year, and you want to see it keep going. And I honestly, at the beginning of the year, didn't anticipate him having this kind of run, but 2023 is going to be Nathan MacKinnon's really hot start.
You mean 2024 is going to be his hot start, or you mean like
looking
for his
back
career, you're going to look back? I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I think even going back, if we're taking 2023 as a whole, you have to incorporate last season as well.
Sure.
And he's involved in that conversation too, right? Like his highest point total of his career. He finally got over that 100-point mark hump, as did Mikko Rantanen. And I think Mikko is maybe the biggest story. The way that Nathan MacKinnon is having a season for this season is kind of, creeping up on what Mikko Rantanen did last year. Those two guys are right up there with seasons that they had. And, Cale Makar was injured a lot last year, still was a Norris finalist. But you look at Mikko and Nate, and what Mikko did last year with all of those injuries, he was the constant. You mentioned constant last segment. He was that last year, right? So I think when you look back at the year, it's Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon really at the top of it. And then, as much as you hate to talk about this, like the way that their season ended was not ideal. That first round exit, that's going to be remembered. You followed up your Stanley Cup championship with a first round exit, and you just ran into a team that matched up with you well. They were maybe overachieving a little bit. I don't think many people expected them to be in that position in their second year, but they were there. They were an upstart team. They had nothing to lose in Seattle. And they, obviously the rest is history. So there is good and bad. Like when you don't finish the season as a championship team, only one team gets to claim that. There's 31 other teams whose seasons end the way that the Avalanche did with a loss. So you're going to look back on that and say, like, yeah, that's a part of this year, and it stunk, but there's obviously a lot of good things that came out of it too.
Yeah, and you really, when looking at the end of last season and the beginning of this season, just seeing the continued dominance of Nate and Mikko, you hope it carries in. That's the narrative into 2024 as well, because it's something that I think we take for granted just a little bit.
So what about 2024? Like, what do you, and we'll start with just this year. We won't get too much into like the offseason because that's for another time. And it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Avalanche. Clearly, it always is for every team. But for the remainder of this season, what are you looking for the Avalanche to do in 2024?
I feel like we mentioned in the first segment, I feel like this team has learned everything they need to know about the goods and the bads of how this team can operate and what they can do. They need to put it together under one mindset. Doesn't matter what line is out there. They know what they need to do, and they need to just get back to Avalanche hockey and figure out what that looks like and what that is. And I feel like 2024 is going to be their claim on 2024 Avalanche hockey. And I feel like that's what you're going to be seeing from this point forward.
Yeah, I mean that's ideal. That's what you would like for them to do. I'm kind of looking at Chris MacFarland and seeing what his stamp is going to be on this team. Because you had Pierre Lacroix was I'm going to go out and get every possible guy that I can to make this team better. With the exception of like Joe Sakic and Patrick Wad and Peter Forsberg, nobody's safe. Like I'll deal anybody. And then you had Joe Sakic was the kind of like quiet, confident. I'm not going to make a ton of moves. My moves will come in the offseason. They'll come through the draft, and we will build this team up from the ground. And that's really what he did. He didn't make those high profile moves. What is Chris MacFarland? What's his stamp going to be? And I think this is a big moment for him right now, because what he does or does not do, I think will speak volumes for how he's going to run this team for the future. Because the way that it's going right now, like, yeah, you can spin this any way you want. You can, and we've done it. You can spin this as up and down as the season had been. The Avalanche are at the top of the standings. You could spin it as up and down as the season has been. They could be better. Look at all the points that they left on the board. And if they go get this guy or that guy, they could be far and away at the top of the standings across the league. How does Chris MacFarland view all that? Which side is he on? Is he happy with A or is he happy with B? And if he goes out and makes moves like now and leading up to the trade deadline, then he's not happy with, even though they're at the top, and he wants improvement. He wants consistency. If he stands pat, he's willing to roll the dice and let this thing play out. And I really feel like how this season is going, how he reacts to it, will give us a really good impression on how he's going to run this team for the next however long he runs the team.
And, I think it goes a little further back to this offseason and the moves that he brought in. And honestly, I think something we kind of forgotten about, the ones that we let go, JT Compher, Erod.
Yeah.
You don't hear about them anymore. That looks like it was a win on the Avalanche part.
Well,
but
yeah,
it's that aspect of things. You look like you're doing okay. But the true question is, are all the pieces that you brought in to replace them, was that a positive?
Out?
Because you mentioned Ryjo. Yes, that I think that's starting to not work. The Ross Colton, Miles Wood looks okay, but we've already given up on Tatar. And
right.
Drouin looks okay. He has his moments. But when you look at what you let walk and what you brought in, I think MacFarland's legacy is going to be defined on this really big offseason that we talked about all offseason long, up until preseason and puck drop on the season. How incredible this team looks. The execution is the big question.
Yeah, I mean the Tatar deal or the trade was a little bit of a glimpse, a little bit. Like, that is not a major move in the grand scheme of things, but it showed you that, okay, he's willing to move on from guys quickly. Was that just one little move, or is he willing to do that with some guys that were expected to do a little bit more? I don't know. We shall see. But I really think they messed up not bringing Evan Rodriguez back. I'm looking at stats right now with Florida, 34 games played. He's got 22 points, and he's a plus 17. So that, I mean, I thought he was a great fit, and for what he signed for in Florida, I think he could have made that happen. So We'll see, man. I know, like I said, the off season is its own thing, and we tackle that usually during the off season, but it's going to be a big one for the Avs, and how this season finishes up plays a big part in that, a
Yep.
huge part in that. So, what do you think? Fire away in the comment section. Want to know what you guys think. All right, next up, St. Louis Blues, the Avalanche. Here we go again. I should get one of those boards behind me and tally it. And days since we've said, "Is this right?" The ship is back down to 0. So we will talk about that coming up next. First, we are going to hear from Sleeper. Kyle scours the internet to try to find a better daily fantasy sports app. And how'd you make out today?
Still Sleeper is the number one.
Can't do it. So regardless of where we are in the current standings, I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. And Sleeper's our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And this is where I ask you, Mr. Sullivan, who you're liking for daily fantasy when the Avalanche go up against the St. Louis Blues.
Let's go some Cale Makar. I feel like it's been a while.
Bring it. I'm with you on that one. Definitely. So all you have to do is pick whether studs like Cale Makar will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. So use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That code is LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Avs and St. Louis Blues in St. Louis. And yeah, man, this is we've talked about it kind of earlier in the episode, but what happens tonight in St. Louis? Last time he played them, that it was not good. It was not good. But it's funny how that would be the lead if what happened against Arizona didn't happen. But right now, that's kind of like secondary to, hey, can the Avalanche just bounce back from that 4-0 blown loss?
Yeah.
Instead, that is the conversation, not that St. Louis completely stuck it to you the last time they played. So what goes on here?
And we were just talking about 2023 and going into 2024. That game on November 11th, where the Avalanche lost 8-2, feels like 3 years ago with all the ups and downs. But no, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
But who would have thought it would come down to a Nathan MacKinnon and Robert Thomas matchup and the St. Louis Blues matchup? But you want the Avalanche to come out on top. Like Nathan MacKinnon is, he's ridiculously hot right now. And again, he's chasing that milestone for the month of December.
Yeah.
He could get it in this St. Louis game. So I feel like this could be a rallying moment. Like, let's push Nate to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel bad for St. Louis because the Avalanche will give it their best effort. Will it come out as a victory? We'll find out. But I feel like that first period is going to be defining for this Avalanche team.
Yeah, there's things that you need to worry about for the Avalanche, and there's things that you don't need to worry about. And you don't need to worry about Nathan MacKinnon. You don't need to worry about the top line because they've been playing fantastic with him, Nichushkin, and Mikko Rantanen. The things you have to worry about are what's again like the depth stuff, namely Ryan Johansson. He's got to step like he's not. I'm not like just like wiping the floor with him and saying like he's useless, but he's made some really just not good plays. He's made some good play. He needs to put it together. It's time to put it together for him because you were brought in to be that second line center. You haven't been that literally because you've been playing on the third line or the fourth line for the past however many games. So he's probably not going to start there now. But he just needs to start playing wherever he is in the lineup. He just needs to start playing better on that line. Don't worry about, I got to get my 2C job back. Just do your job on whatever line you're at. And God forbid, if you're on that third line, how are you not the best player on that third line or even a fourth line? So, the things that the Avalanche just can't seem to get right, they have to, like, it at some point in time, they just have to get these things right. And the first game you had against, well, not the first game, but the game right before Arizona, Christmas against Arizona, that is the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you hang up on the wall and you go do that. Watch that video over and over again, and then maybe the first 2 periods of the second game against Arizona after the Christmas break. You have the ability to do this. It's time to put things together, end the year on a strong note, and go into 2024 feeling good and just continue to build on that. Georgiev's got to have a good game if he even plays. I don't know if he's going to start this game or if they give him a day out. If he does play, you just have to, I hate using the term because we throw it around all the time, full 60. You have to. Bare bones stuff, not in the way you play, because you have a really good system, but in all those really, those phrases that you throw out all the time, you gotta hold true to them. And that is definitely one of them, is to play a full 60.
I would put Georgiev in against the Blues. I would let him get it right. I would let the Avalanche beat this Blues team 4-1 in the beginning of the year. So it's possible. They've done it before. And I'd give them the night off against St. Louis. Against San Jose on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I would let him get right, because you saw his reaction to that overtime winner in Arizona.
Yeah.
You need to get him right for the rest of this haul.
We'll see how it goes. Either way, we'll be discussing that one and the Sharks game. I have 2 games to talk about when we come back on Monday. So that'll be, will we have 4 points? I hope so. Win 2 in a row, and then I think that'll make some people happy. So just 2 in a row. That's all we're asking. Can you do that? All right. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Fire away in the comments section. Let us know what you think. You agree with us? You disagree with us? Some things that you look back on and enjoyed from 2023, and what do you expect from 2024 from the Avs? He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy the games. We'll see you guys later.